Well, I should have started off the last episode with this one, but this track is First Step Towards Walls from East 1 and 2 Chronicles. And yeah, this is a fucking track. It's so fucking epic. It's also quite a metal feel to it. And symphonic. It's just amazing. And much like the other tracks from the same game, also this part, it's just, yeah. It's fucking epic. I just love that bend, where it starts with that. So it's just got such a good composition, a good chord progression. Also the fact it's like symphonic as well, it's also pretty crazy. That's what makes this track so good as well. Yeah, it's just so many good things to say about the Falcon Sound Team's music compositions. It's also going to be the same things from here, it's just masterfully done. So many amazing things about it, and there's a piano solo, and like a fully symphonic bit, and back into the guitars. Yeah, one of my favourite tracks, just without a doubt. Yeah, anyway, let's move on to the first topic. So, here's another YouTube problem I've encountered again, but I've also got a solution to one of the old problems that I discovered a while ago. Basically, as I'm a premium member for YouTube, obviously I've paid for this shit, I've got access to different things. Admittedly, I only have it for the ad block, but obviously that's another thing entirely. But the service is shit, and I think if you have a way to block the ads without the delays and stuff, then it can be useful. But, you know, until that point, I don't know. Basically, the issue I'm encountering now is specifically to do with how shit my internet is, and with premium being there, it now auto fucking puts my quality to the highest possible, which at the moment is 1080p premium. And I've got to say, this is shit. So the difference is barely noticeable outside of a few artifacts, but that's it. Even then, you see, like, I guess only a little more frames in this as well, but it's not even worth it. So it just feels like a waste of fucking time and money. But then here's the annoying part, because you remember I said I had a shit internet? Well, it turns out I can't play YouTube Premium. For some reason, even though I've got Ethernet, and I've got what I thought was a decent internet company, speaking of which, I need to write that down to do list, get a new one, but I can't fucking watch these videos because they lag. And if you're on a VPN as well, it's even laggier. So it's just fucking ridiculous. Like, it's absurd, and the most annoying part is that you can't actually turn it off. As far as I know, there's no settings. You know, I go into this, like, look for the settings, and there's nothing. Can't even do anything about quality. There's no advanced settings either, you can't right click it or anything. It's just fucking stupid. But even then, I set it to 1080p 60 as default, and it doesn't fucking work. It keeps setting it back to auto 1080p premium, which is fucking absurd. Again, why? It's so fucking stupid, and I'm gonna look at the premium benefits again to see if it shows up here. No. So since when is that my name? Okay, oh well. Basically, yeah, that's like the issue. So I can't seem to disable it for whatever reason, which I think is a bit stupid. Maybe advanced settings, no, delete channel, maybe. And payments, no, ain't got any. Nothing there. Playback and performance, maybe? Video previews, generate phone card, close, generate captions, no, okay. That's a bit stupid. Like, what the fuck? Downloads, no. So why is it saying what my download quality would be? Like, just ask each type. It's fucking dumb. Nothing there, so there's no settings, so technically this is malware. I'm just going to call it for what it is. Because it's hijacking my internet usage and it's there without consent. It keeps changing it without consent. Pretty sure they're even breaking their own policies and terms here without looking into it. I'm guessing they are. What's in my hands are dry again. That's, not some flaky business, but it was a positive thing, and this ends up being a surprise when I realised I was just laying down in bed after a really depressing day, and I decided to put on my jazz as I usually do to help me fall asleep. I also have it with extremely low volume. It's usually like 5 or 10% of precise volume, although that's with the EQ all the way down, so basically everything is lowered. So there's no like volume booster. Actually, it's not the EQ that's down, it's the amp. So I put the amp down and listen to it that way, which is honestly safer than the alternative, which is kind of shit. But it stops me from having like jump scares from volume randomly going high and stuff, and it also keeps me sleeping because the percussive noise from whatever it is playing in the jazz doesn't affect me. Anyway, it wasn't the thing I was talking about, but I needed a solution to this problem on YouTube where it auto-mixes your content, or rather the videos you watched. And this pissed me off for so fucking long. I was genuinely getting annoyed at this because it felt so shitty. Oh my fucking god. It was horrible. Because for some reason when you click on a video, a home video, here, I'll do it now, let's see if there's any music. No, it's not showing up because it only shows at a specific time of day. But you know, if you click on something, okay, Milky, there's Milky there, so let's click on that. Probably doesn't show on the desktop although for some reason. No. But on the phone, when you click on something like this, like a song, it will then put you into a mix playlist, which is not advertised as, and also I believe they're committing a I don't know, is it a felony? I don't know, but they're not advertising it, so for some reason there's this auto fucking mix. For whatever reason you're not getting what you're clicking on, essentially. So it's false advertising, and yeah, it puts you in a mix, and I'm thinking, why? Because sometimes these playlists are 6 hours, which by the time I've woken up, it would have switched the song, and believe it or not, it plays random music that are not jazz or sleep helpful. Sometimes it can be songs that I've listened to before, like I don't know, some metal tracks, and that gets really annoying. I don't want to wake up hearing I don't know, Raining Blood by Slayer, or do I? Them's the question. But because of that, I get so fucking annoyed, and so I found a solution to it eventually when I was laying in bed there. I thought, how the fuck can I get around this? Like, it only mixes when I click on a thumbnail, so on the home screen rather. So the way to avoid it is basically the way that I'd share it. And that clicked, it made me realise, wait a minute. If I shared the video, as in click share and then copy and paste the link and put it into my browser as I do using my browser instead of the app, because the app is a bit shit really, it works. And also with the browser I can actually have multiple tabs, so that's why I use it there. But it works. It gets rid of the mix. Like, when I realised that, I was like, all these fucking months I've been worrying about this shite, and it only took this. It just takes a few clicks. Click on video, share, copy and paste the link into obviously the browser, and you're in. You know, the video is going to play, it's not going to autoplay anything else after that. So it solves the problem there, which is really useful. I'm glad to have found that out somehow. Weirdly enough, when I talked about this issue before on the subreddit, nobody came with a response. It was pretty much mute because nobody knew how to deal with it, but now I've figured it out, it's kind of easier to do. But yeah, it's sort of helpful. But I also figured out an alternative to that. I can't remember what it was exactly. Perhaps making a new playlist, but I don't know. It's not coming to mind really, unless watching it from history. Yeah, I think that's it. So if you click on a video and then go back, go to history on the tab, and rather click on the tab and then so you go to history and then you click on the video you just watched. That should remove it, hopefully. So that's an alternative. That probably works on the YouTube app. So yeah, I've pretty much figured it out. It's about getting past that sort of algorithm shit where it puts you into a playlist automatically. But you have to basically access it as if you're looking for a singular video. And that obviously implies that. So, yeah. Quite happy with that. Anyway, everybody's got anything else to say on this, but YouTube is still utter shite, as usual, and I'm still waiting for the alternative. I don't really mind paying premium for an alternative if there is one, but it remains to be seen as well if it's actually any good. Also just be good to see like other videos from content creators on there that I currently watch, and that's really the big thing for me, is what would stop the transition. So until I get a YouTube rival company, that's seemingly not going to happen anytime soon, given it's already been I'm trying to think of the first big bad YouTube change, which was probably the Bob Army. I remember the Bob Army back in 2013 or 2014. And people were spamming comment sections with that shit. But that's when I remember YouTube getting really bad. So it's been over 12 years, and still we haven't seen a good alternative, which is surprising, given that it's possible. I'm surprised that nobody else has really rivaled it. Like Microsoft are trying to copy Google and they haven't done anything like that. Who else is trying to do things? I guess, you have like DuckDuckGo. I don't know if they're really trying to be YouTube. Ask Jeeves, I'll ask Jeeves why he hasn't made a YouTube rival. That'd be a good one. Anyway, ain't got anything else to say on this, so yeah, let's move on. I don't know, something dark and stupid I just realised about Trump. I don't remember a few weeks ago, I think it was, where he was showing kids how to golf and brought kids to his White House ballroom for pedophiles. But, he showed them this, and I realised that there's actually a similarity here in the parallel rather towards something that Mayor Mamdani did, and who else? I forgot his name. Barack Obama, that's it. I don't know how I forgot his name. But there's a similarity here, because if you look at it, you can see where it's almost like a like for like, except obviously the children were invited. But it's very interesting to see that they're literally trying to mimic everything that they do, which ironically is like a form of flattery in a way. So they're also making absolutely stupid sort of publicity stunts here, obviously Trump, and trying to copy them, what they do to essentially win people over. Like, oh, you like this about, it's like interacting with children who have a bright future ahead of them, supposedly, or not really anymore, but for people in New York, probably, the children in New York. And, Trump is literally trying to do that, but obviously in a different way. But again, there are similarities here. It's almost a like-for-like situation. It's obvious that he was jealous that they got the respect and attention that he doesn't, and that's why they do it, as well as obviously a publicity stunt. But again, it's like, it's such an evil place at the moment. Like, it's so fucking weird how you see all this shit around the world now, and yet the thing that they're doing is both accusations and copy. But the Democrats often don't do that. And I think it's time that they do more, really. Because I don't think there is enough. I think the fact there isn't really a Democrat that gets into the news is probably a bad thing. I think there's probably a thing to be said here where the lack of Democrats in the news is a bad thing. I'm getting fucking diaper stuff again on this block account. Fuck off. Don't know why my Blue Sky is recommending me that. It's fucking weird. But again, like, you don't see many Democrats in the news. And that's also kind of problematic. So it just essentially means, yeah, Democrats just lose the war on social media just immediately, and it's also thanks to idiots like Trump and Trump supporters. So it's very concerning, as you can expect. So what the fuck? I just got porn on my Blue Sky. It said adult content, but it's just a guy posing his ass, spreading cheeks. Which honestly is more interesting than politics at this point. Yeah, it's just very concerning, as usual. The way things are going, the fact Democrats can't be in the news is just bad. But also, I think it's a case where we need to funnel money into Democrats and get them and encourage them to appear in the news. This way, they end up becoming, obviously, more screen time, having more screen time, and gets the attention that they deserve. Because if you want to know something, the biggest problem with something like the BBC and stuff is that they just fucking literally cover only the far right and anything bad Labour does. And also they cover other parties as if they're big enemies, but the moment that people start to see they're changing and they sort of make good things about Democrats, it's kind of like, oh, maybe to the idiots it will essentially be, a bit convincing. So when they hear like birth tax, like, oh, that's good work. Not everyone will believe that, because unfortunately too many idiots believe it won't work and don't provide examples. But enough, the only person who's providing examples is Gary Economics, and he's actually providing an example of Poland and Denmark, I believe. Could be wrong on that. Apparently they were done poorly, which sort of explains why we have an influx of Polish migrants and stuff. I remember when they used to be a big problem to people, although some people don't believe they're problematic, because they actually work really well. I'm sorry for clipping nails, but it's really uncomfortable. Might as well do it now. So I'm not doing a hobby. I never reached the fucking nail properly. Yeah. So what was I going into here? So I just need somehow to get more media time and buy off the damn media. I think that's one of the biggest things we could do now. And I think that says a lot. Just about the state of the world, so fight fire with fire, essentially. And I think if you can also potentially even lead people, like billionaire donors and stuff, to believing you'll fight for their cause when you actually won't. So like, take a one-off donation, be transparent about it, like, oh, we got a donation from I don't know, let's say Mark Zuckerberg, and we got a donation to promote the AI, but we're not going to. In fact, in our agreement, we didn't actually state that we have to. So, that's essentially what it takes, I think. Like, billionaires might be too stupid to realise that actually donating is probably more a trap than a blessing, but either way, it gets you a head start. So you start getting the media attention and people start talking about the donations, it's like, oh, well, actually, they're not as bad as other people. So yeah. So I don't really know what else to add there. As I said, it's very concerning, this situation as a whole. Yeah, don't know what else to add, to be honest. Hopefully I see a future where Democrats are the main place in the news and stuff. At this point, it's like sorely needed. I think where obviously like Melomania has done extremely good work so far in terms of helping New York and being almost like a public figure, I guess. I think that's more what he is now rather than just the mayor of New York. He's become like almost iconic and synonymous with obviously the left and progressiveness, which is more than you could say for anyone else. Like even Bernie Sanders, I don't think managed to succeed in that way, but I think that's because he had terrible beliefs and stuff. So people were just like, eh. You remember that brief moment where Gavin Newsom had some time in the spotlight, but it was only because he generated a fucking image of himself with defeating Trump, I think. But even then, he's not got great opinions either, and this is also the thing that divides Democrats. It's because, where did my sock go? There it is. Because they have stupid opinions and beliefs that they can sort of divide everyone on that. So, it's just one of those things, I guess. I think there needs to be a process of training people in Democrats, because this is important, by the way. I don't see enough training. When I say training, I mean literally you get these people to understand these things about us. So you show them like, oh, okay, we need to teach people about rights and science and literature. We need to tell them about anti-corruption and stop. That's like the most important aspect, and without that, it's just going to be a problem, isn't it? There's always going to be fucking problems without this shit being under control. I can just see it being an absolute problem without the correct thing here, the correct things. I don't really know what else to add, to be honest. That's essentially it. That's what I mean, and yeah. So on a sort of side note, I'm looking at the Yoga Europe thing for 2026, the most LGBTQ plus friendly and not friendly places around. Unfortunately, there's a lot underneath 50%. The UK is onto that, which is also kind of surprising given that you do have quite a big population of LGBTQ plus people here. Also interesting that Iceland is like 86%. I guess that might be because your balls get tingly in the cold. Maybe why. Also sucks that Ukraine is like below. It really should be higher, in my opinion. Same with Poland. Yeah, so many places that shouldn't have that. Even Turkey's like 5%. Jesus fucking Christ. Russia 2%. What is this even rated on anyway? It's a legal and policy situation. That makes sense. I guess. Yeah, given there's no 100%, that means nobody's perfect in that way. So I wonder what the problem with Spain is exactly. And last I heard, like Netherlands were pretty good, but they're 64%. Germany 70%. Trying to think what the most shocking one here is. I suppose Italy. It's kind of the most shocking one here, because I would have thought how beautiful a place it was, people would just not give a shit. It's a hot place, but I guess I can also increase with enough sexual tension. It's weird to talk about that with temperature and stuff. But I used to think like the hotter the place, the hornier people get. I don't know why. I don't know if that's true or not. I swear that was a thing before. So again, it's like, it's a shame that these places just don't have the correct things in place, the correct rights. You know, even Greece is like 68%, is that? 68? Yeah, 68%. There's quite a few at 68% though, so that means they share similarities. Again, that's just concerning. It's also co-funded by the EU, European Union, which is interesting. Yeah. I think, again, this sort of ties into the same topic as before. It's about finding the truth among these things, and when someone like a Democrat or a congressman, whoever it is, Supreme Court, is starting to push out absolute garbage with the stupidity around science like this, which LGBTQ plus, believe it or not, is a science. It involves sexuality, gender, sex even. And that's all to do with science as well. And then you observe it, like we have in the animal kingdom, and people in the animal kingdom, what? I mean animals in the animal kingdom, exhibit homosexual behaviour. And that's been observed many times. In fact, I've seen it personally with just pets that I've had and pets I've also met. There's some crazy things with that. But yeah, it's a very real thing. So, it's like, that's the thing here. So yeah, don't really know what else to add, to be honest. So I don't know why mapping doesn't include like A. For some reason, Owen Jones's original post doesn't say LGBTQIA+. It's just LGBT, but it's missing the Q as well. So it's only accounted for those, not queer and asexual, I guess. But I guess it doesn't really relate in some way. I'd say queerness does relate, but asexuality and aromantic doesn't exactly, because I think everyone can have that. But enough, it's one of those things where the more I think about it, actually, the more it actually kind of doesn't belong in the same category. Like, it's not a minority, except I guess it can be impeded on, obviously by laws and stuff. It's when there's like arranged marriage and shit, but anyway. I mean, that's spoken enough. I think it's interesting either way to see that sort of thing. More nudes. People moving to the UK and that. What is this? That's pornography. Why is there so much pornography? Where is this coming from? Like, you got like 95% politics and then 5% porn. Blue sky, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, I don't really know what to add, but that's about it. So yeah, let's move on. So if I've understood it correctly, it looks like there's some good news from Ireland, which is they are calling out Reform UK, which is very interesting. I wish I could find the post now. It's definitely appeared that I could actually type in. Blue sky will probably come up soon. Ireland. It might be under NI, but that's probably not going to come up with the right thing. So Northern Ireland letter. No, it's 2023, fuck, 2026. Oh, I don't know, but basically what it says is they're expressing concern to the UK about the issues with reform, about how over in the UK, and pretty much break up relations with Ireland. And yeah, that is a massive issue, honestly. And the fact that they're doing this amidst a great victory is really interesting. But it's assuming I've understood it correctly. But there looks to be good news either way, and I hope Scotland maybe does a similar thing with the SNP. To call out reform bullshit. And I'm also hoping that we see something in the UK where somehow we absolutely... I don't know the word, eviscerate was the first thing that came to mind. But it's probably like unseat is probably the word I'm looking for, but unseat basically every reform council there is. Because I just see them doing so much destruction with the UK, and there's so many suspicious dealings around them. In fact, I think the way that they're already taken down all of the flags for Ukraine, for example, I think that already demonstrates the big problem we're in now. And I think it requires a big investigation by, obviously, the UK government, because this is suspicious as fuck. Like, what the hell? Who even takes this shit down whilst the war is ongoing, and there are obviously fears of, like, Russian attacks? Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Apparently this is where we're headed, though. So that's obviously not good, but hopefully this gets their arse into gear, Labour, and they start to look at this and investigate reform for what they're doing, and the suspicious dealings around it. Also, not to mention how they got so many fucking candidates. So I'm genuinely baffled by the idea that they somehow managed to get more seats than anyone else and more councillors. Well, not necessarily more seats, actually. They have like fewer councils but more councillors than anyone else, and that just shows a really concerning trend. Because how the fuck is this even being allowed to happen? And honestly, the fact it wasn't even investigated before the election is just crazy. If anything, Labour should have done something to do with, well, obviously, reform. To investigate them, investigate the findings around anonymous donations and shit. And obviously with the thing with that guy being arrested for taking Russian bribes, it should have been obvious that this country is going to shit under reform. And there's also the fact that their council's essentially completely neglected a town and ruined it because they are incompetent. They're not capable of running a fucking town. It is impossible. Like, what the fuck is going on? But again, this is why I bring this up. It's not about, obviously, like, controlling democracy. It's about protecting it. Where under reform we're looking at a Trump 2.0. We also have to recognise that the amount of delusional people in the Trump administration and Trump himself is insane. We do not need that here. We do not want it here. Simply put it. God. I can only imagine what would happen when you get laws which basically enable guns. Like, it's going to be a disaster. So when you enable guns, especially for basically a place that's going to arrest immigrants supposedly, and then also kidnap women and children, which will probably do under the will of a gun, it's just going to get complicated. It's going to get fucked up. Which is why I say you need to fucking investigate this before it's too late. Honestly, what dumbasses at the police stations and I think it's MI6, I can't remember the Secret Service we have here, but what are you doing? It is baffling. I don't understand why you're not investigating these councillors. It makes no sense. And even then, it even is worth investigating the ones that are acting suspiciously under other places. So, we're talking whoever's suspicious under Conservatives, whoever's suspicious under Labour, who there are plenty of, by the way, and even then, the few that are suspicious under the other parties, so Lib Dems, Greens, whoever it is, but they all need fucking investigating. This is the point. there needs to be transparency. And yet we can't get that with what this threat is here, which is Labour, and Reform are going to be the bigger threat. So again, I'm just annoyed, but it's also enlightening that we got another country on the side of people here who want a better, obviously, living situation. Obviously that's not going to happen under Reform, so something needs to be done now rather than later. Anyway, I don't really have anything else to add, but that's about it, so let's move on. So, apparently the Online Safety Act in the UK is going into effect or something. According to Cyberwar, there's a post on TikTok that was removed because it was talking about reforms and quote-unquote new policy where they are announcing they are going to build detention camps in places where, that's right, the Greens are. And apparently this video was removed for the Online Safety Act or something. I'm not exactly sure the reason. Apparently they violated something with that, and this is exactly how it's going to be a fucking problem. Literally, the stuff that's going on is showing the problem. I don't even know what to fucking say. Like, this is actually shocking. Because why are you doing this? You're Labour, by the way, and you're removing a video about this. Like, reporting on this shit is not something that's exactly wrong. Like, it's literally the right thing to do to report on it. Because it is a concern. It's a public safety hazard. And it also goes against the fucking law. So I don't know what they're thinking, removing this. Also, it seems like TikTok is being bought by Reform, or at least billionaires, who are supporting, what do you know, TikTok. So there is something really fucking wrong there. Something really off. And this will demonstrate all the problems here. I don't even know what to fucking say. But I also need to talk about this other thing where I found out recently with this post I found on Shortsome. I'm not sure if they even responded, but this is exactly the example I'm talking about when I say the Online Safety Act can be dangerous. Because someone on there is very concerned, and I won't say what details are, even though there aren't any, to be fair. But someone is concerned about their confidentiality in discussing a specific topic. And being that I know my IT and stuff, I know ways to get things done anonymously. And so I gave the advice, obviously it's there for the public to see as well. But I gave the advice to say, rather to look into VPNs and posting it on a forum anonymously. Although I wish I gave the other descriptions, but yeah, to be honest, it's the basic really. And that'll be really hard to do, but also with a VPN you also need it to be a non-tracking one, I believe. Like, weirdly enough, I didn't learn that in college, so I didn't learn anything about VPNs there. It's mainly stuff I've heard here and there from channels like Kitbo, and I've learnt from other things, Cybersecurity channel, I believe, does that. But basically that's what led me to that. And so it becomes really important to be anonymous online, and with this confidential question, like, if you're going to remove my fucking comment for somehow violating the Online Safety Act, then what are you doing to this country? Because it's obviously not protecting people. And that's one of the most obvious things, and when or rather if I get into fucking court for this or somehow, which I doubt I will because I'm technically a vulnerable person, so I'll have to go through many other things before that. Because obviously my disabilities and mental health, you know, it's one of those things, and I just think, well, this is kind of fucked, really, isn't it? Like, if I go to court and then I have to testify my case or say what I need to say, to respond, it's always going to be the case where I'm just like, you know what? If you censor the truth, if you censor any sort of help you could give someone, then you're not doing any favours for the country, you're not doing any favours for the planet. Instead, you're controlling the information, and that will cut right through the fucking country. As in, it will kill people, it'll make people suffer. So this is actually a great injustice. So this sort of censorship is not good, in the same way that they removed the what do you call it now? Reform sort of education thing there, where they're showing the legit issues around reform and their stupid fucking policy. Because yes, it is a stupid fucking policy. Let's not beat around the bush with this shite. Because he is a fucking piece of shite anyway. That's the problem here. And I just can't comprehend really the idea that somehow is a reason to be censored. Still, I can't even figure out the reason why. Again, like in this case, like I mentioned with, there being people who need legitimate help and can't necessarily go to the doctors about it or go to a relevant authority, and I can guess what it is, possibly. Again, my assumption is that if someone's struggling with something like paraphilic disorder, or it could even be something more serious like psychopathy, that you never know, but it is a very real issue. And yet, if you censor people on this shit, you are doing no favours. Sorry. Still got a body cough. Can't divorce. Seriously, it's fucking awful. I just cannot understand the idea behind censorship in general. Even then, if you censor people for what is essentially a non-issue here, it is not going to do any favours again. It's just more likely to harm everyone in the long run. It's just fucking bad. What do I even say now? There isn't really anything else to say about this. More harm than good, that's essentially it. Anyway, I don't really have anything else to add, to be honest. That's pretty much what this is about. In all honesty, it's just more bullshit again. Stuff feels unnecessary, and it's not helping anyone either, obviously. Just more harm than good, and yeah, that's it. So, anyway, fuck online censorship. Let's move on. So apparently there's an article here saying that nearly after a decade of Me Too movement, the reports of abuse by powerful men are still surfacing at alarming rates, according to Ms. Magazine. Today, such cases are likely documented and sometimes prosecuted, but a deeper truth persists. Behaviour has not fundamentally changed, only its visibility. Yeah, I think this is a similar thing with what we're seeing in the UK with Reform, for example, where people are claiming to be against abuse, but it literally is a case where they are the abusers. And this only happens, I think, because people are in lower living standards, and it's also a male loneliness epidemic, and you just see many alarming things around this. Like, Jesus Christ, it is obvious that things are going downhill, and I think it's only about to get a lot worse, to be honest. And to be honest, the only part that I can not defend about women, just to be clear, I do defend women, is the fact that they are usually focuses away from good men. And I mean literal good men. Not the ones who are good looking, not the ones who are joking around and make a good first impression than ones who are actually good people. And this has always been a fucking issue. And I've said it many times, and then people have told me before that for saying that I'm somehow misogynistic or somehow giving it into an incel narrative, but that's not what's happening. The truth is, a lot of women do pick shit partners, unfortunately, and I've seen it more consistently in younger people than older people. Admittedly, older people are probably more used to it because, unfortunately, they grew up around a time where you often got physically abused, whether sexually or just through people you know, or even just teachers and stuff. Like, it just happens, and obviously it fucking sucks. The difference is, nowadays we have better communication, and we're also forced to use like dating apps and stuff, which doesn't help things, and this is where we encounter issues. Because people are no longer tolerant of just who you meet, like it was obviously 30 or 40 years ago. I could be wrong about this, by the way, but that's my theory on this. And again, the problem becomes there's just a shit choice in male partners, or even just male friends, for example. Because it can even be a friend at the end, which causes the abuse, does like horrific, whatever it is. But that is the problem. If you strictly pick those people without looking past that bias, you end up with absolutely miserable lives. Like, I can name many people who made like strong first impressions of me and then ended up being complete arseholes. I've known quite a few of them in my life, in fact, and it really shows. But the only reason these people exist is because they get enabled. They have like previous relationships and they have multiple partners, and they often cheat as well. So it can be really concerning when the choice of, again, a male partner is these sorts of people. The extroverts, the extremely loud type, the, what do you call them? I don't know, what do you call them actually? But basically loud and obnoxious, I guess. But those are typically the people who create absolutely terrible living conditions. And I've warned about this for years, but again, nobody wants to listen to it, and they can't look past the fact that sometimes, like, I'm not saying people are, but ugly men can often be the nicest people in the fucking world. But it's actually insane. I'm lucky enough in my life to have had a good 3 serious relationships, and I mean they did go far, but I was with them for some time, except the last one. But it's very apparent from that I can demonstrate that there is an attraction there, at least. So obviously my first girlfriend in school, it's a bit harder to debate that because obviously we're not children anymore. But we lasted about a year or 2, I think, and it was a pretty strong relationship. Then second relationship was overseas, essentially, is like a long distance one. And we got somewhat far, lasted almost half a year, I believe. Or maybe 2 months, I can't remember actually. And obviously the last one, it actually started off really strong, but started to devolve with just the problems that kept propping up, like, for example, my partner being a bit selfish, and myself not being able to understand what she's saying because of a speech issue. We would have thought that maybe we would be, I don't know, perfect for each other, but no. That wasn't the case exactly, and that's the irony really. People ship that sort of thing and then it's like, oh, actually this ain't fun at all. So yeah, that's an issue in itself. But this is what I mean. Because even though I'm successful on them, I think the bigger problem is that women don't even give people like me a try, and people like the nice people I know. because I know plenty of nice men, but again, it's like people don't give them a chance. Or in some cases, they could be bisexual, for example, and they find a man before an actual woman. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's just nuts. So I don't really understand this narrative again. It's like, why are you picking these men who just don't do a thing and don't even lift a finger for you? Why do you even stick with them? That's also the question. I think the problem is you get threatening men who are like that, who again are allowed to make good first impressions because they essentially get away with it. They've managed to find a strategy around it to exploit you. I think the only way you're going to teach them a lesson is by literally fighting back. That's unfortunately the case with a lot of things here. So in cases of domestic abuse, you just have to learn self-defense and fight back if you can. I'm not saying everyone can in that situation, but there are opportunities for it. So you can even talk with people about it, get advice. You could probably even find help online, even through like support groups and stuff. But there are likely ways to address it. But I think this problem is only going to get worse when you consider obviously these things. Again, lower living standards and cost of living. Also, I think the best thing that people can do at this point, and sort of my cheap advice here, is rather than commit to a relationship, commit to getting to know people first for a long time. Have friendships, have whatever you call it, one night stands or buddies, whatever you call it. You know, so you get to know them. You know what you're going to like and dislike about them, so it's basically like a trial run. That's what I'd call it. And that's probably the best way you're going to know someone, know their true colours as well. You know, don't accept relationships offers the first time around. Like when they say that, oh, I want to go out with you in the first week or second week, or even just sleep with you, say no. Because you need to know their true colours. If they respond negatively, then it's like, okay, fuck them. As in, go away. Not fuck them as in actually do it, but, you know, tell them to go away. But if they're obviously nice, and they actually take it well, then they're probably more worth it than those other people. And then there's another horrifying aspect that I have to sort of mention, because I don't know if it is something that's sort of there existing in, I don't know what you call it, like in space, in the atmosphere, or something like that, but I think genetically or rather evolutionarily, that's a word. I think sometimes it's the case where women just end up enjoying that sort of stuff. Like being abused, unfortunately, and again, all these horrible things. And I think that's also the problem. Those women who actually enjoy those sorts of things are just creating problems. And unfortunately, we don't hear many things from victims sometimes because there are actually people who can't take it. Can't cope with that sort of situation. The only escape being, you know, suicide. And it's fucking horrific. But again, I have to point out, for those who are strong enough to counter that and to say no to things and, well, obviously been through it, you have an obligation to just not enable this behaviour. Because if you enable it, it's harming other women, and then it'll harm you. So say you're allowed to drive a car with your partner, who's currently beating you up several times, but you're fine with it. Okay. Well, what happens when you obviously keep with this partner and you obviously go through like an election cycle, for example, say someone like Conservatives win, and then they restrict women's rights, or maybe even Republicans, like, let's use both examples. Oh, they've taken down women's rights. Now you can't drive a car. Guess what? Your boyfriend is against you as well. As well as yourself. So, you know, even politics can play a role in this, but they also enable it, and there's also very fucking evil rules and laws about how you don't own your bodily autonomy. In fact, I remember this thing before Trump actually got into power. I don't know if anyone else remembers this. I think it happened anyway. Unless it's something that's, I don't know, randomly appeared in my head. But I swear there was something about men taking ownership over women by restricting rights, like literally mocking feminist movements. And I remember it somehow. But there was tons of people like literally being against women and being against their rights to everything, the right to vote, the right to drive a vehicle, and then I've seen their right to abortions being completely removed. Like, it's so fucking weird. Like, this is a problem. When you have arseholes like this and you enable them, you create issues, but I'd also argue, I think if you're in that situation, you have no escape. It's worth talking over. It's worth perhaps trying to reach a solution. Even getting them to confess, if that's again a possibility. So say it's someone who's actually the opposite of an extrovert, someone who's like quiet and, I don't know, maybe they're autistic. Like, that's another thing that can play a factor, unfortunately. Weirdly enough, I've seen autistic people, I'm autistic myself, just to be clear, even say that people like this damage their own reputation, because sometimes autistic people can be violent. But you have an opportunity there to obviously reach sort of not agreement, but I guess a resolution, so that you can overcome these issues. You can get the autistic person into therapy, maybe. You can get them into other sorts of help, so they can stop being an abusive cunt. But obviously, that's like the best case scenario with that sort of thing. Or rather, second best case scenario. I think the best case would be obviously escaping. But I think you can also have an impact in that case, and I think with that sort of thing, if there is someone who's being abusive, try talking first and then act self-defense. It's sort of, there is this type of self-defense called a Krav Maga? I can't remember what it is now. Krav Maga? Krav Maga. Okay. Unfortunately it has Maga in the name. But it's like a self-defense that teaches you firstly to talk things out with whoever it is picking a fight on you, obviously abusing you. But then it also teaches you the actual self-defense if that fails. And I think that's honestly a really good way of teaching it. So I think some self-defense, if I'm not mistaken about it, will literally teach you to just fucking fight, no matter what, which is horrific. That's the wrong way to teach that. I genuinely don't understand it. But on the opposite side here, you've got Krav Maga, and you just learn it a different way. You're literally honest and open about these things, and if that fails, then you'll see you got the backup, which is, well, probably some crazy moves and stuff, crazy reflexes as well, which to be honest I think will kind of be a natural that. I was actually doing something earlier. That's actually a funny story. I was, as I usually do, I tend to empty out my cans almost fully. I sometimes rinse it with water, depends on what's in there. If it's like beans or something and there's not much sauce, I'll put some water in it, get the contents still in there. And so I do that, but I had tomatoes instead, in tomatoes. There's a lot of juice in there. But to get the last bits out, I literally just I do what I do with my toothbrush actually. I try to get every single bit of, or every single drop out there by doing a quick sort of thrust down, I don't know what you call it. Almost like a thump, but it's so fucking quick I can't even see my hands now. I've practiced this over the last 2 years, this time with my toothbrush. Because I never used to do it, I used to just like shake it a few times and that's it. Water's still on there though. Because I kept smelling mould every now and then on my toothbrush. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Probably a bad thing. But I was wondering how I could make it drier when I obviously finish with it. Also, given I do it 2 times a day now, I brush my teeth 2 times a day. I figured I need to learn how to do it, so I did it, and you know what? I got some stupidly fucking fast reflexes. Also, some insane power in that as well. It's not just like a quick movement, it's like literally in a flash. Also, I don't think people stand a chance against me any sort of fight. But anyway, I think that's interesting as well. But I think there's probably a place for women to actually have that sort of reflex, because as long as you're fast enough, as long as you practice it, and that's my tip to women in these situations actually. Is get your partner injured by, or probably an abusive partner, whoever it is, that's being abusive. Just practice those reflexes. You can do like a toothbrush thing. You can like time it to the beat of some music, if you're listening to music whilst doing it, or I don't know, maybe some sort of other way you can track a beat, but again, it's all about timing and reflexes, and again, the power you put into it, the speed as well. Because the speed is important there. They won't be able to read that. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about with this actually. Yeah, it's like a topic that concerns me a lot. Because as I've said before, I don't know if I'd ever want to ever be born a woman, to be honest. I just find the whole scenario too concerning, but there is also part of me that wants to be a woman, because I also just like men quite a lot, which is weird enough. And because there are good men out there, and I often feel sorry for the men who are nice and don't get partners and don't get anything in sort of return. You know, I'd happily give a part of myself to them because they've obviously given a part of themselves to the world. But it's always a very sad scenario to realise. I've even thought about transitioning and stuff. I've actually asked about it because someone told me to, and I got pretty much blamed for it. Which, yeah, I don't know why I got suggested to ask about that. I think that's probably one of the dumbest pieces of advice I've ever got. Other than fake it till you make it, which is also another issue. That's also why men can be dangerous. A lot of them are fakers. A lot of them fake what they say and do, can't demonstrate it. You know, you can tell I've demonstrated it if you actually practice. But yeah, there's plenty to do there. Again, I just give myself to other men, and I sort of used to do that when I was into my sort of talking to gay men and stuff. Obviously, share a part of ourselves with each other. The sort of thing I do, as long as they're decent people. There are people I like consider decent by default, at least for one or a few of their actions. I consider a lot of the vegan community, for example, being decent people. Yeah, like, I can't think what else there is actually. Because, you know, that's basically the gist of it. It's a legitimate part of it that bothers me. A lot of men go unrewarded in that sense, or unsatisfied, or just no relationship. But that's the other thing as well, isn't it? I think a lot of people, if they get the wrong person and the wrong woman, it can be really frustrating as well. Because it even exists on the other side. You can get abusive women, you can get women who are just awful people. And like, especially, oh god, there's another thing that I actually heard the other day is, I live with someone who's somewhat vulnerable. I won't obviously share many details, but I find what people say to him is often confusing, and I know he's probably in the wrong in this situation because he's doing something wrong. I've already debated this. But sometimes the comments to him are just fucking horrific. I do not understand the logic there. Basically calling him weird, and there was another thing, I think, creep, or even they tried to initiate arguments with him or something. But again, this is the thing. They will say terrible things to pretty fond of the person. It's like, why? Like, I know he's not going to wear his issues on his sleeve exactly, it's not obvious. I don't think anybody would. I think it was obvious. But those sort of responses don't help. Yeah, it's like, sometimes I eye people in the street, and I remember this actually from a few months ago. Like, I was just waiting for a taxi, and for some reason, somehow, there was this woman with her boyfriend, and she had a massive fucking chest. Like, I'm not a gooner in that sort of sense, like, boobs usually don't really interest me. To be honest, I don't mind what size. They're just boobs, really. But, you know, I just acknowledge that they're massive, and then I kind of realise, oh, why am I even looking? It's also kind of, it's sort of a form of sexual assault, in a way. To just look, and also, like, sexualise it. I mean, I didn't sexualise it in that situation, but I was still looking, and it just felt wrong to me. But oftentimes that can be a draw for some people, and again, it creates really complicated situations. You'll get people who are like all over that woman saying, oh, I need you, I want to have sex with you or something. But you also get people who are just not like that. You honestly deserve the attention more. I think the people who don't fall into those norms, or whatever you call it, or whatever, I think they deserve it more. They deserve, like, love, they deserve a relationship, they deserve friendship. Yeah, whatever it is that you can offer. I think they deserve your best in that sense. Because they're more respectful, and they're more understanding, obviously. In fact, I don't know, do I share this? There's a lot of confidential things in my second relationship, but one of them was sort of similar to this, and it really gave me an idea of also how terrifying it is to be a woman. And that's sort of the other thing, because apparently you can get surgeries to remove certain things, and I did also learn later you can get surgeries to remove like the labia or flaps or whatever you call them. Well, not necessarily surgeries actually, like some women actually do cut it straight off, which is fucking terrifying. Like, keep them, please. Like, I'm not fussy about that sort of thing. But apparently women do that and don't like it when, you know, certain parts of them draw attention, whether it's the legs or the breasts or whatever it is. And it's another terrifying aspect. I did feel really bad for my second girlfriend when she told me what her problem was, and also I knew what it was, and yeah, it made sense. Like, I also felt awful for even sort of being attracted to her sexually, which was another thing. So there's often that guilt that you can have with that sort of thing. So if you're like well-meaning, obviously, I think you can encounter that issue. You can't really view someone in the same way, exactly, because of obviously what they've been through. And again, I've heard other more horrific things, to be fair, but, you know, as far as something like we've usually experienced day-to-day life, it's again pretty scary. But that's where it does worry me, obviously. Excuse me for a second. What the fuck is going on out there? Bang it outside. Any day now, be World War III. But yeah, honestly, that's my advice to women anyway. You know, pick quiet men, pick the ones who are well-meaning, pick the ones who don't do these fucking cliches. Like, how many times do I have to say it? A man who jokes is a joker. He's not serious. But a man who's like quieter, obviously, is going to be better. You have to get to know them first, obviously. Take them on trial runs, but don't commit to anything until obviously much later. I really cannot stress that enough, and that's also the problem with dating. But I guess my other bit of advice is, in terms of dating, you find the thing that you're like minded interests. For example, vegan community is most likely better to even just go to vegan community stuff, like go for food or something, go for animal sanctuaries, whatever it is, or even vegan camp out, for example. There are ways to meet people without the use of a dating app or online. And then you can get to know people there. It's entirely possible. I've seen it happen to people, but dating apps are not going to help you. Trust me on that. I've tried, even tried the vegan ones, and they just don't work. But yeah, you're more likely to meet decent people when empathy is like a big factor. And also, even if you do end up with someone who's kind of a dick, at least then there's maybe a chance they can change. Because if they've already gone vegan, if they've already acknowledged animal rights or environmentalism, and they're well read and stuff, they're more likely to fucking change in the other ways. It's not impossible. So you don't have to commit in that sense, you could just take a break. But you just need to prompt them to do the right thing. Because I think not prompting them can often end up leading them to hate you. And then leading them to hate women. Which is why I see this issue keep coming back and biting everyone, biting women. So yeah, I don't know what else to add, to be honest. Again, it's terrifying. So yeah, anyway, I don't have anything else to add, but yeah, that's kind of it. Just think it's a really important topic to talk about again, now it's mentioned again. Also, Me Too stuff, like, keep doing it. But also, I have to refer to one of my own podcast episodes where I expose myself, so it's like a Me Too for you, I guess. Because, yeah, I think I did some bad things towards women. Not the worst things, to be fair. I think I've heard and seen worse, and honestly those men should be fucking locked up. I'm not sure what sort of punishment I deserve, but it's important. It's episode 90, is it? Yeah, episode 90. I'll talk about the gay narcissist problem and my own confessions about this sort of thing. And a few of the stories involve men, but there is one about a woman I was interacting with online, who I sort of went far with, and also a second one, but she was more understanding, and I was understanding as well, obviously. But that's what I mean. You also need someone who's honest, because I think that's going to be the best way to meet someone who's the right person for you, to stop the abuse, and also someone who could defend you as well is great. Assuming they have that quality. If not, it's not really an issue. Because I think people are intimidated, and this is the thing with bullies. And they don't like being stood up to, so if there's often a chance that having a partner or whoever it is be beside you to scare them off, then that's most likely a good thing. It's going to turn them right off of picking on you, bullying you, abusing you, whatever it is. But also that's how you can deal with them as well. So you know someone pretty strong or someone in self-defense, and your partner is like abusing you. Invite someone over to have a talk. Like, you can literally ask people to defend you, and they would, I think. Yeah, I think as long as you're a decent person as well. But yeah, the only other thing I can actually say about that that's kind of wrong as well is just the women who cry wolf. Let's be honest, they do exist. They're not that frequent, which is good, but they can exist. And that's the problem. So no, stop crying wolf if that is what you're doing. Because that's not going to help you. That's not even going to help women. I'd argue that's like anti-feminist. Anyway, that's all. So if it helps, then let's move on to the next topic. I don't know why I just started thinking about this, but what will I do when I obviously get bored of metal, and if I get bored of metal, that is. Because obviously I have a specialty in making metal covers and symphonic metal, and you know, I'm not exactly out of ideas, but I tend to make them as I go along. which I think is a difference, and I specifically hone my craft on making something in the moment rather than learning all the music theory. And that's also a point that a lot of musicians say that they wish they had, which is not to learn music theory. So I've taken that advice literally and never done it. So I do know that, but I'm also learning slowly how to memorise and remember what notes go where in a track. So like, I don't know, it could be in a scale of, I don't know scales actually, that's the point. I don't know music theory, but I know the series of notes, so looking up, I guess, my chart could go E. No, actually, no, that's not the scale I use usually. It's the one with notes in between. Also, there's a blues scale with chromatic scale in it. It's weird. Probably thinking of Aeolian mode. Probably the one we use most. If I'm correct, or maybe pentatonic. The pentatonic one is missing harmonies, so I don't know. It's hard to say. But I don't know, it'd be like all the notes but no chops. So basically E major, it's just standard scale, I think. Is probably what I'm thinking of. And I memorise all the notes in that, so it would obviously be E, F, G, A, B, C, and D. And then it repeats, obviously. That's like pretty much how I memorise it. But the other thing I was thinking of here is, what will I do if I'm just, you know, not exactly into metal anymore? And I guess I would have to go towards something which includes guitar, or maybe not. But I'm really inspired by those tracks where they are like really sort of, I don't know what you call them, like old school Yujiko. That's what I'm thinking of. So anyone knows Snail's House, Yujiko is the composer for Snail's House, obviously. If you didn't know that already. If you don't, what the fuck's wrong with you? But the old school Yujiko stuff is honestly amazing. It's exactly the sort of music I was looking for. Because I just love that distinct piano melody that's just, it's almost like calm, but it hits not like correctly, it hits nicely. I suppose I'd have to make music like that, but maybe more symphonic, or maybe in a way that one of my favourite like covers ever is like the East track, one called Dreaming. It's one of the collected East tracks or something. I can't remember what it's called now. I always have confusing names. But it's basically, I'll do something like that, possibly. Or at least I'll do jazz instead. Because I do think there are some like, crafts that are not very honed in that sort of sense. And as well as thinking of something that I could possibly do, which is in my realm of capability, in terms of appealing to a more, not niche audience, but one that's more common. So, you know, sort of like a remix. I could be like a fucking remixer. Electronic maybe. Might have to include some guitar, or, and this is actually kind of a big one, but I could also just change the style of metal. So I could instead do Doom. Yeah, I have considered that before, like Doomifying tracks instead, or maybe making Doom style tracks myself. And it has been a consideration, but I'd rather just explore my creativity and see where it leads me. For example, in a new original song I'm making, I think I'm trying to make it sound a bit like I don't know, Napoleon. It's probably the best comparison for this. If anyone has ever heard Napoleon. Crazy ass fucking like math rock slash metalcore. It's not really math rock. It's just, I think it's just something. I think it's also indie rock technically. But you know, I'm thinking of something like that. But afterwards, I think of like big bands of classical tracks. So maybe something like not really done before, which is like a walking rhythm somehow, and also the lead melody, but also it takes inspiration from a metal cover I did a while ago, the Paradigm Orchestra, Since You're Gone. I can never remember the name of that. I always think it's Since You're Gone. But it's such a nice track, and as a part after the main verse, I believe, you go into this bridge and it's got like this really fun rhythm. It's like, oh my god. It's hilarious for a metal track, but it's also really fun. And I think of exploring that aspect. So it's again a point of creativity. So if I'm getting bored, I just make it a bit different. Just try to incorporate things together. Make it more unique. Because then it might even appeal to another audience. In a way, or somehow. And that I think could make waves, possibly. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Paradigm Ragtime Orchestra, here it is. It is in fact called... I can't see it. I still can't see the name. Fucking Windows Explorer, after you've got that's it. That's what I'm thinking of there. That just seems to be the type of style I'm looking for. In terms of changing things up. But the bridge for that, like twinkly bit, is just amazing. So you don't even really hear that bit in the arrangement, which is weird. There's mainly the double bass you hear there. It's really hard to pick out, actually. I don't know how I learned that. Let me go back there. It's like 32 seconds in. You barely hear it. I think it was like something like that. But also the song is like, it's going to be very creative in that sense. Again, I've sort of already talked about it a bit, so I can't really spoil it, but I'm still working right there. I've managed to get the main riff down and working on the drums. I think the drums are going to be very interesting too. I'm quite happy with how they turned out so far. Also discovering what doesn't work, which is interesting. I've found out that sometimes the old second and fourth beat don't always work for making snares. Sometimes it has to be the zero beat, or some point or another, like a bit before that maybe. It's just been a very interesting sort of experiment. I think I've managed to resolve the riff. I've figured that out by now. Yeah, again, it's like experimentation. And I also sort of want to take it a route of maybe going even crazier. So maybe go from that big band stuff with the walking and I don't know what you call it, octave stuff, and move it on to something else, electronic, jazz. I'm trying to think what else, maybe pop. I never fucking know. I'm even sort of thinking of just going back to Periphery, because I fucking love the Periphery chords. I don't know what else you'd call them. So obviously you play the standard power chord, but then on the third string you play the note that's 3 notes higher, like a Roberto, or a step and a half up. So it's better for drop tuning. But you get this really interesting shape, and then it allows you to play, in at least in drop tuning, you can play harmonies with it. So you can put your ring finger somewhere, you can put your middle finger somewhere, up usually, and it works. It makes a really good chord shape, and you can even do it in a sort of black metal way, because now it's shifted up, you've got a proper harmony. It's not really black metal actually, it's just a harmony. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in the idea of exploring a different type of music. Because even though metal is probably my favourite and more preferred genre, there are, I think, points where I probably do need to change it up a bit. Make it a bit different, a bit more interesting as well. So yeah. Tight. Yeah, I don't know what to think. Anyway. Yeah, so let's move on to the next topic. Well, here's my review of beats per minute and my general issue of it. I might as well play it whilst I'm talking about it, to sort of explain what it is about and what I just dislike about it. So first thing, soundtrack is decent. I can't fault it at all. But as for game modes and stuff and other settings, actually I could go into. Settings are pretty basic. You've got your usual stuff like rhythm and stuff, whatever. You choose to turn off and on things, which is nice. There's controller stuff, which is interesting. Don't know why there's controller support, to be honest, because this game is not suitable for controller, I could tell you that. You can do custom music apparently, somehow. Keyboard and mouse, video and graphics. Pretty basic stuff, but except for this, which I don't understand. I've turned it down before and it makes it look less dramatic. This is a bit weird in that sense. The user interface, UI, not much to do there. So much going on with it. So there's a bit of a weird aspect, but then we get into the runs itself and we've got characters to choose from. You unlock them over time, seemingly. Complete Snell's tough to complete. But I find myself with frustrations with this because there are so many aspects of this game that are just frustrating, and I've only played this easy difficulty, which I don't believe is accurate. Like, I'm confused by it. I'm interested to see a speed run. But let's go into it. First issue of this is on death, and you'll probably see this maybe once or twice. You'll see your sort of where you just lose. You lose a run, and also you have to do this in the ribbon and stuff. And this is a weird gun as well, because you need to fucking reload manually, which is a bit annoying for this sort of game. You can do it in like 16th beats, which is cool. So that sort of helps with that. But the first thing is the crosshair. But what the fuck is this? I don't like the fact that there's like a big fucking diamond there, which is a bit annoying to see, to be honest, because I can't aim at anything. And then the saturation of this is just absolutely insane. And then I can't even fire like beat for some reason. But even then I'm like damaging the enemy there. You see me hit it, and then it just doesn't work. So I don't know what that's about. And also I'm taking damage from random things that I don't seem to be having any control over. There's no point getting the reward there, and this thing's confusing. It hits you no matter what. And if some reason it can hit you out of range like this, so if I stand here... Oh, it didn't hit me. That's weird. It just hit me in that. I don't know what that was about. But for some reason I can't damage it. But yeah, like there we go, already dead. This is just the easy part. It's like, this is the challenge run. Maybe the other rooms are easier, but this challenge thing is fucking annoying. There's also no cover, so you essentially get no way to get past it. So the lack of cover means that you just struggle. There's different rooms. You've got blacksmith, you've got this room which is basic. Enemies. For some reason BPM ain't working. I did sync it, but it's not working properly. Yeah, for some reason you have to pick up the coins as well, which is a bit stupid in this. I fucking hate that design too. It's a bit stupid to pick up the coins because it makes it really tedious. Like, you're just wasting your time grabbing them. It should allow you to just grab it automatically. And for some reason I need a key for that now. So that's weird. I need a key for that. So this is also another problem. The run generates... Oh, there's the upgrade. Range up. The range for some reason is an aspect. But yeah, for some reason you do a lot of back and forth in this, which I find a bit stupid. There's no like fast travel system, which is also really dumb. It feels like a really thing to easy thing to implement. It's just very weird. See, I'm just not a fan of that. It's a bit shit. What the fuck is this? Death things. That's a boss. That's a boss room there. Now that, because I've already gotten to the 3rd stage in this. We'll see when we got further, and you don't have a fucking key. Like, and this is the other thing. It doesn't always drop keys. So if you're expecting keys to fucking drop, good luck, because they don't always drop. Like, these are the last few rooms here. Because if they are, then good luck getting the fucking key. So yeah, enemy design is okay, but I find the projectiles a bit annoying. 1 key, just 1. Okay. Don't see an upgrade, I don't really care at this point, I'm just demonstrating. I guess, 2 rooms, okay. So that's good. Just something up there. How do you even get to that? I wonder if I could jump to it. I haven't actually tried jumping it off yet. Okay, just take damage, which is good. I was a bit worried about that. I was worried it was going to like one-shot you. It's just hard to time this talk at the same time. Down. So yeah, 1 key usually unlocks nice things, neat things. Wait, was that a key there and it just disappeared? So what the fuck happened there? And there's a store here, this is a shop, it's a cute bird. But you can buy health for this, didn't do anything. Even loyalty coins? Yeah, upgrade the shop or something, okay. That's new. I'm not sure that's bad, you can't shoot the bird. Just fine. Yeah, again, it's like extremely questionable design choice. And I'll show you the boss in a sec. Let's go and get this thing quick. Okay, did that. So obviously you can't reach it. I guess you need angelic boots. There's like things here. So you see on the bottom left, you get different sort of things to like obtain, and then that allows you to get those get to those places and get to those things, which can be useful. But yeah, obviously it depends like what drops. But I don't know. I'll see something on these. Oh. Okay. Well, that was a fucking waste. Like, what the fuck is this run? Never known anything like this. There's a boss. This one does like an annoying attack, I think. For some reason too far away. Yeah, this does like a left and right, I believe. Or not. It's not always obvious which way it's facing as well, so it's not easily indicated. So I'm not sure about that. You can take cover behind this, which is helpful. So if it turns! Okay. So that's a bit fucking dumb. I'm not continuing that, that's just stupid, and then challenges don't really do much, but I just don't like the design of this game. Again, I died. I could restart, but it restarts. Rather than at a checkpoint. So say I just died on the 3rd stage or something, which is usually where you can die anyway. Like, okay, I want to go back and try. But, you know, you have to do it all the way from the first one, which is fine, I think, but this doesn't happen here. Instead, it puts you right back at the start at Ashgard 1. I was doing this on gold first, because obviously that's the first unlocked character. The only unlocked character at first. I'm assuming they get different abilities and stuff as you go along. Also, this. Wait, it's one of these things. These are the bankers. Okay, it's interesting. Wonder how small you are though. Spend 1,000 coins in the army to get it. So there's different ones you can get through different means. Beat the game with door to unlock. Okay. There's door. There's another smaller character. That looks a Jerry though, but again, parts of this game just don't make sense. Sorry. Can't control that. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this game, to be honest. I was expecting something good, but again, it's just really badly designed. There are so many terrible aspects to this, and it's in ways that Metal Hellsinger didn't even have. If, by comparison, Metal Hellsinger was more fun and more polished. And so they had better enemy variety as well, I'm pretty sure. But this game just lacks everything that does, which I think is honestly a shame because there's a lot of potential. And this retro run thing is also stupid because it's like extremely pixelated, and when I aim, it doesn't even work. Okay, I've got this immediately. So, where am I going? So yeah, it's not even worth doing these challenge runs, like, because like, it doesn't even land. It's like, I'm like shooting right at it. Look, there. I guess it's like a damage thing then. But it still doesn't make sense. There's so many parts that just are shit. Again, I'm struggling to enjoy this. I can't. There's no point. I don't know how much I paid for this, but guaranteed it's not worth the price. Let's see, how much is it on Steam? £16 fucking pound, are you kidding me? So somehow it's got like very positive reviews, which is a bit bizarre in my opinion. But I don't know, I don't see myself continuing. I'm not a fan of these sort of permadeath runs, they don't really agree with me. I prefer that going through stages and story modes, and this is my biggest criticism of this as well, other than the lack of quality of life and terrible design choices. Graphics as well could be overwhelming. But yeah, again, it's sadly a disappointment. I was really looking forward to this, given the liked Mel Hellsinger. I'm curious to see a speedrun of it. I'll definitely look into it. I was like, what was that? I saw a Hello Kitty thing there. Was it? Remember that penguin? They have a Hello Kitty plane? It's showing up on tablets. That's interesting. Yeah, so it's very weird. I'm not a fan really. It's just frustrating, and yeah, I'm not willing to stick around with this, to be honest. I'm just tired of this already. I don't want to play it. I'm done. So anyway, let's move on. So, given this is my third roguelike in a row, well, it isn't hell as well. Third roguelike, and I'm not enjoying it. Obviously, it's BPM. I've just played it, just reviewed it even. Reviewed it twice because I did the talk one, I did the written one, which is a bit more detailed. It's on Steam. Melvin Impunity Maya, for anyone wondering. And I looked at one of the negative reviews at the top, and it said the thing that I was about to say about the market being oversaturated with roguelites. And honestly, I agree. There is an oversaturation of this shit. Like, admittedly, there is a place for roguelikes and roguelites for that matter, but I just find myself not enjoying them. It feels like there's so many of them out there, and they do the same shit again and again, and then I just get tired of it. I just get tired of seeing it. I see people doing weird shit with it. I just can't bring myself to really care about them. Like, I see a cool new game that's come out. Oh, the graphics look good. Oh, the gameplay looks fun. Maybe the story. Maybe there's a bit of a story. But, oh, it's a roguelike. Oh, there goes that game. Because I was open to the idea of trying roguelikes, but I see this being my third one in a row. At this point, it's just going to be a blacklist for me whenever it appears, because I cannot fucking stand these now. The third time it's come, and the third time it's disappointed me. Well, second time actually it's disappointed me, because actually I was impressed with Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, but it just had very fundamental issues, like my Crohn's disease. I can't control that. I have to let it go because otherwise it just gets trapped and it feels uncomfortable. Yeah, but basically that's the problem. I just don't think there's really any reason for a roguelike. In fact, I'd do an anti-roguelike if I was making a game. So I'd have it so that you can basically choose whatever upgrades you want from the start, and play the game as if you were extremely strong. But obviously, you can make it really difficult for yourself by choosing those things. But maybe over time you get to remove upgrades or something, so it's maybe like a reverse roguelike, but I'd also offer the option to just have everything enabled, have everything disabled. So yeah, I think that's really important. Anyway, I don't really have anything else to say. Just extremely disappointing that there's so many of these and again I failed to enjoy it. So let's move on to this topic. So I saw this post and it got me thinking. I was 4 days ago. What the fuck is going on with my feed then? Apparently Prince Charles said, because I don't follow the royalty, Prince Charles said that there's going to be a ban on LGBTQI plus conversion therapy, which is obviously a big win, if it's true. But obviously it depends, as people said in the comments, if we actually see it go through. That's the only thing. Because it may not. You never know. But obviously he could also turn his back on us, so you never know as well. But this got me thinking. Why is it that people in leadership roles or some sort of leadership or monarchy are absolutely fucking stupid about this? Like, what? Well, what was I fucking say? I got distracted. So yeah, like leadership roles just seem to misuse their place. Use it instead of the means of getting richer and greedier, rather than helping others. And that's often what makes me so sour about these situations here. It's because of that I feel we're in such a bad state in the world. I even think back to these videos and stuff of Princess Diana, who has some really good fucking like track records, because she generally was a nice person from everything we've seen in the media. It could always be like a publicity stunt, you never know. And she could have also maybe done bad things, but the point is those nice acts, those acts of kindness, actually do matter. And whether you like royalty or not, I think she may have been the best person in royalty, because she actually demonstrated a kindness that nobody else has. Learning sign language, being able to discuss things with people, and even like saying to Michael Jackson, I think it was Michael Jackson, like, yeah, to Diana, but she was like, she's off that song. Like, for fuck's sake, why can't people be more like Princess Diana? It's a genuine question of that. Apparently she's quite charitable as well, and also pretty intelligent. Like, I remember seeing another post. Apparently she trolled paparazzi by wearing the same clothes, which basically led everyone to thinking that they were taking the same photo. So they weren't actually finding anything new. She was actually wearing the same fucking clothes every time. Just genius. It's genuinely smart. So people obviously don't interpret that as a new photo or new article, whatever it is. But yeah, I really feel that though sometimes, because leadership doesn't do what it should. It's not taking ownership. You know, probably, I don't know how many years ago it would be now, like 500 years ago, 600, you'd have people who are in these leadership roles willing to fight for their own fucking country and their own people. But now you've got people hiding behind what is essentially royalty or leadership, trying to avoid it and get people to fight for them, which in my opinion is quite fucking wrong. I think it was just an atrocity. And even though we necessarily can't do that these days, this one looks itchy. Yeah, I'm a big great leader. Apply anti-itch cream to my nipples now. basically, yeah. It's often, it's like they don't share a part of themselves to benefit others, which is the problem. It's why I sort of see issues with the royal family, for example, in the UK, why people don't like them. It's also because it can be like snooty and shit. I remember that thing in South Park. It was like a Canadian royal family or something who was like really suspicious or something. I can't remember what the exact story was. Obviously, South Park referenced it, and that's why I'm getting onto that. And I didn't know about this before because it was at a time when I was young. I didn't really watch South Park, but I sort of get it now. It's like, oh yeah, they're harassed by paparazzi, but they're also kind of arseholes. It's kind of the thing that you see with that, which is also really disappointing. Like, why are they doing this exactly in those positions? You have tons of money, you have nothing to fucking worry about ever again. And then I also think about this site that came to mind recently. Do billionaires even realise how much fucking money they have? Like, it's fucking insane. Because when I look at, obviously, the amount they make, it's hard to visualise it on the perspective rather of, like, oh, maybe, they are not getting too much money. Because like a millionaire I'll be more sympathetic towards in any given situation, but a fucking billionaire, you have to realise how many numbers there is in there, which is in itself a complete injustice. I need to look this up again. How much is it in billions? Because this is where we need to debate this. So 1 billion is 1,000 million. So to put that into perspective, like, you got the average salary, so maybe in pounds, like, okay, the average salary per year is about minimum wage about £30,000. So there is enough here to literally support someone's like minimum wage about how many times you could divide it. So 1 billion divided by 30,000, which is, well, quite an easy number. I'm an idiot, but that can support 330,000 people essentially, if I've calculated it right. I've done maths in a long time, to be fair. So is it division? Yeah, pretty sure it is. There's enough there for, again, 330,000 people to benefit. So, like this sort of wealth tax where you tax them like a percentage of it, it will most likely help the general population. So that helps a lot of people in the process. It can help jobs. It can help a lot of different things. And this is like not even including the aspect that there's taxes that people pay, and certainly other places where businesses have to pay and stuff. Like, there's different things here that are in play. But even if we were to reduce it, so let's say someone is like getting 200 billion a year, so 200 billion, and then we do a percentage before that. So say the tax is 2% of 2 billion, which is probably like 1 billion, maybe 4 billion. Yeah, 4 billion. So that tax would help pay for a whopping 120,000 people. Again, the minimum wage. And you think about the amount of things that can be funneled into, even just public things like solar energy, even more jobs. Like, it genuinely is baffling. And these billionaires are taking the fucking wealth. So I think people need to argue from that perspective as well when it comes to leadership roles and, this topic specifically. Like, how much money do they actually get? And how much do you actually realise they're getting? But I feel like a lot of people really underestimate how much it is. They see a number like 1 billion, think, oh, it's probably nothing. You actually look at how many zeros it is, like, what the fuck? That is insane, and even if you reduce it, like, it is an insane number. And you know, with this sort of money, you can even have a universal basic income. So there is a likelihood, even then, where you can literally have it so that everyone gets an income from these taxes. So say there's a billionaire making profits of like, I don't know, like 10 billion per like month, I'd say, yeah, per month. So they get taxed for that, and basically the percentage of money they get there is funneled back into the economy somehow. So that'd be, I don't know, rough estimate, probably like £300, probably universal basic income, if I've understood UBI. I don't know if I've fully understood it though, to be fair. From what I understand, it's just basically people being paid a basic salary for existing, which is honestly great. And also I think it should be used to like support young people, like children especially. I think that could be really beneficial for them, especially with shit like we have now. But you know, UBI would be extremely good. So that would help. And also just pay for the children as well. Like, let's not forget, because not only would you have savings, you would also have presents, you would also have birthdays, you also have food, water, whatever it is you need to pay for your child. Even like private appointments, you never know. Like, it could be like a privatised thing you need to go to. But that's what I mean. This money gets funneled back. And yet you get idiots who say, oh, they've earned their living, they deserve the money. No, they fucking do not. If you've seen the world as it is, the way that they're absolutely fucking everything up, like, it's actually insane. It's their fault, by the way. The only reason we're in this situation is because of them. It's not because of us. Admittedly, Trump is because of us, but that's mainly Marga. And no one actually believes what he said. But again, it's because of billionaires, and much like Trump is a billionaire, it's his fault too. It's when the rich are stupidly rich and not actually just, you know, just reasonably rich. If they reduce themselves to millionaires by tomorrow, obviously I'll be happy. I'll respect them for that, even if they are evil people. Again, I can respect it. But as it currently stands, there is no justification. It genuinely is so fucking wrong to see this shit. Just do not get it. And again, I'm tired of it. Yeah, I don't know what to add, really, but just basically the issue with leadership. It really does need to change, wherever it is. And there's a reason why it changes as well under democracy. So yeah, don't know what to add, but that's about it. So let's move on. So this is a dumb headline I read. I'm not going to read the article though, because I know it's going to be stupid. Apparently, unemployed people shouldn't have the right to vote. Yes, this is literally voter suppression. Just through and through, and I'll explain. Because you'll say, oh, you're just using this buzzword. It's not a fucking buzzword, it already exists. It is. But it is voter suppression. That's all this intends to do. The thing is, people who don't work aren't in work for a reason. So, my own scenario, myself, where I've had to actually come to terms with this over the years, knowing that I can never get a job, I realise my disabilities, my mental health, means I cannot sustain a job. I could probably get into one with enough hard work and dedication, ironically, but I won't stay in one because there's simply too much going on in my mind, in my physical health, not happening. As simple as that, and the doctor acknowledges it too, so I've got a medical reason. And then you got the other types of people who are able-bodied and they are able to work. And these are the people who may just be unlucky enough to not be actually able to get a job. Because this is what's happening these days, with AI replacing everything, which by the way, that'll make everyone lose jobs. It's more than likely that people out of jobs are going to be out of jobs because of AI. Yeah, you look at that thing in, I forgot where it was now, it's a place in the US where they've introduced those, Waymo cars? I can't remember what they're called now. They're fucking cringe. They're like AI driven cars and they keep driving around in circles. Like wasting what I assume is fuel, because I don't know if they're run by electricity, but they're just fucking horrific. These shouldn't be on the road. And it's just so dumb to have. Like, come on. It's so dumb. But this is the thing, this puts people out of work, so obviously not everyone likes to have a taxi driver. But at a certain point you do have to get used to the idea. And even then you could probably make requests like, I don't want to speak to anyone, that sort of thing. But people really need to acknowledge that. And yeah, people being out of work because of now not being able to taxi, albeit probably for a more expensive price for these fucking auto-driving cars. Yeah, it's going to be a terrible place for any sort of person who does taxi work for a living, or even just public transport. So there are reasons that people will be out of a job. Ironically, this is probably written by someone who doesn't have a job, which is going to be really fucking rich. Yeah, if it turns out that it's the truth. Yeah, even though I don't have a job, I understand the importance of having rights for everyone, voting rights. But to explain why it matters for people like me, for example, who again are not in work, it's because my lifestyle and my ability to even stay alive entirely hinges on the policies, the laws, and anything around my mental health and disabilities that allow me to stay in place. And it's also taxpayer money that probably goes towards my salary and my bills. There's probably more going on there as well. That's probably not the only thing. But that's basically what's going on. Like, I need the voting right to choose whether I want to vote Green, Lib Dem, or Labour if they're ever to get good again, but they're not good. I don't think they've ever been good, actually. But that's based on experience as like a child. I don't remember much from childhood about politics, but I don't really care. But basically the right to vote is there because I need to literally be able to decide what's best for me and people in my situation and other people. So other people who work. So every vote matters. And there's also a good chance that people can't get jobs because, again, there aren't any. People are searching, but there aren't any. And then there's minimum wage jobs, which nobody wants because they don't pay it enough. So it's a really fucking tone-deaf article immediately just without reading it. How can you even be saying this in this day and age, 2026, if people don't have the fucking ability to get a job? Are you kidding me? Like, if this guy wasn't fired for this article, I'd genuinely be surprised. This is just frankly is unacceptable, and it is once again voter suppression. But on top of that, I'll just say it's completely inhumane. Because that's what it is. There's no reason for this shit. To call this out as if it's an issue. Like, voting rights have never been an issue. Even when they've obviously changed. So, you know, we didn't always include black people, we didn't always include women. I don't think we even included disabled people, for example. But obviously now that they're in these voting spaces, they can make an informed decision on these things and get something, obviously, or get a politician, whoever they vote for, to now be in power. Someone they support, someone they agree with. And then I have to ask, what's the problem with that? Because I just don't see it. It wouldn't make sense. But yeah, but as usual, it seems like it's written by someone who just hasn't lived in the real world. And you know, I can't even claim to have had jobs, or even been searching for jobs, because I just haven't. It's not been possible for me given the issues again. So many limitations. But someone like this who writes this article has a lot of explaining to do and experience to explain. So that has to be answered, otherwise you just failed the argument. And this is kind of why I believe in a system, in politics at least, where you can at least imprison people for misinformation or just absolutely, I don't know how to call it, but you just need to get rid of this fucking shite with all this tone deafness and stuff. And I don't know where I'm going, I fucking got distracted. It's a problem with doing two things at once. That's an ADHD moment. Yeah, it's like imprisoning people for misinformation or false information for that matter. Because it is a dangerous thing. It's like the people who spread the rumours about 5G towers. Like, these people saying that it causes COVID is extremely fucking dangerous. And it's unnecessary as well, it doesn't help. And it's not based on information, this is the thing. There could be a clause in that where, were they to prove your point through a study, if there is a study on this, they start a study or get funding for it and they find out, oh, there's no COVID, then maybe they have a point. And then obviously you release everyone who was imprisoned on those suspicions. So this sort of system would actually work if there is truth in what's being said here. But again, it's like, as harmful as that, when you're literally advising people against things unnecessarily. Again, 5G, whilst it's not a necessity, it's going to help people, in it, towers are. So yeah, I just don't get it. Again, some stupid information out there. I could be wrong about this, but I do find this is important. So, yeah, I can't even think what else to add here, to be honest. That's about it, I think, for this topic, though. You know, just tone deafness and shit. Anyway, yeah, we'll move on. Well, seeing the new Misha Mansour, Misuse, 8-string by Jackson, it got me thinking about another situation I was in recently, which came across my mind. Because I have a problem with one of my guitars, and it's, believe it or not, one of my favourites so far, in that it just looks amazing, but it doesn't play very well. And it's not for the reason you think. In fact, it's broken, and it always has been. So the switch doesn't work properly, although it pretends it does. And then the pickups on it are terrible. One of them is misaligned, actually both of them are. So they're not even like dead centre, which is an issue. But it's got me thinking, if it is just simply a job of replacing the pickups, then surely it can't be that difficult to do. However, if it is not an option to actually replace the pickups by either giving it to someone or, you know, obviously paying someone to do the job, or just knowing someone to do the job for that matter, but if I can't do that, I probably need to look for a multi-scale 8-string instead, because I was planning on having this be my 8-string guitar, but the issue is, it being an 8-string guitar is going to require some work in terms of getting it to sit on a guitar holder. But this is obviously not taken into account. By the time I have it, it'll probably be either when I move house or it's remained here. In that case, I need to get the bigger guitar holder. But it does lead into my worry. So, with guitars with more than 7 strings, which, believe it or not, I've not tried yet. I've not tried an 8 string yet at all. But I'm a bit worried about trying it and then disliking it. Because at the moment I'm used to 7 strings, I can get used to them. I can play the higher notes as much as I want to, as much as I can. Obviously the lower strings, I mean, the higher notes, the lower notes. And somehow incorporate that into a melody. But again, with an 8 string, it's a whole other fucking ball game, and I'm not even sure where to start with essentially getting one, because I don't even know what I should look for. Because I would have to get something from a trusted brand, and that would essentially be like a guitar shootout, I suppose. Could look it up, I could get it for future reference. So, 8 string multi scale guitar shooter. Let's see. Nope, that's not really coming up. You know, there's so much potential with this, I suppose, with the types of guitars these are. Because, you know, I'm mainly only going to be playing it for Rocksmith or Slopsmith, which is originally why I thought of converting this one. But because the pickups are so bad, I don't know if I can justify it. Unless obviously I switch the guitar behind me, the X shape, which has an extremely good pickup system. I might even just copy it. But I fucking love those pickups. It actually picks up the metal in the strings, which is more than you could say for others. You don't always get that, which is surprising. But again, I'm getting that thing about figuring out what the fuck am I even saying? Basically, better 7 string or upgrade 7 string rather, or get an 8 string. But I guess one brand I know is reliable for the most part is the same brand as this, ironically, but it's an upgraded version of it, so it's almost like I'm probably going to get the same guitar. I could be wrong. But it definitely interests me in that sense. Because I think I want to have an 8 string just to have fun with, just to try. I probably won't get like something like the Rob Scallon, because I again put an emphasis on whether you know, guitars are like an art piece or not, but I do know they are an art piece. That's why I get the ones that look very interesting. And I think it's really a bad choice to make a design or more of a purchase decision on a guitar that's so, I guess, simple in a way. I don't really want a plain guitar, because to me that would be very off-putting. Wouldn't be a fan of that. But then I also have to say, what is the point in getting an 8 string when my new 7 string from Skirvisen, hopefully, is still in the work, by the way. So I haven't done progress update on that for a while. I think it's in the final stages now, which is good. But I think with that, obviously that being a B standard and B flat standard guitar, is there any point in getting an 8 string? Because I've already got a B flat standard, and then, you know, whilst I can tune to, I don't know, can I? And the 7 string tune lower than, what is it, tuning in that? I feel like it's probably G and G sharp, G. There's almost like an 8 string. But that's sort of the problem here, is the Quandary in itself. Because we've not only got the Quandary of upgrade versus new guitar, it would probably be easy to sell this one, to be honest, because it's actually a limited edition, and I plan on keeping it for as long as possible, not so I can actually sell it for a stupidly high price, but because it's actually like one of few in the world, I'm pretty sure. I could be mistaken about that. So it has extremely high value from that alone, I think, because it's not like a usual type of Ormsby. I don't know how many Shark guitars there are, especially 7 strings with 29 frets. But the other thing with that is the 29th fret actually allows for a higher E note. So, again, it's a quandary. I don't know the best option here, to be honest, and I want a great A string to possibly enjoy. But it really does depend on that. Audio quality has to be good, obviously, and that's the main thing with the A string. It has to be good audio quality and it has to look somewhat decent. So yeah, I'm probably avoiding something like, not Spectre, Schecter maybe? I'm probably going for Ormsby instead, because again I just trust Ormsby. Just in the Orms, I don't know. I just felt like mentioning this, yeah, because it's just interesting. It's one of those things. I don't really discuss guitars much because there isn't really much to talk about. Actually, to discover something funny about this, about my guitar. Turns out on the higher strings you can play a really fucking goofy note by holding your pick over the high E string, high B string, whatever it is, and playing it with like pull-offs, you know, like a proper open string pull-off, and you get like a almost fretless goofy sound. Like, it's so fucking weird. It's one of the goofiest things I've ever discovered on a guitar, and I'm actually going to record effects for it at some point. I'm going to have to find some more random goofy techniques to add so I can put samples in and stuff. Make it sound interesting, although I probably need to do it twice though. It's the only thing, so it's like variation. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add here, but you know, I'm just discussing the point, really. Yeah, is there any point in changing my guitar, upgrading, or what? I really don't know. I'd like to think the A string would be fun, but it kind of has to be decided at probably a later point. But yeah, anyway, I guess that's the end of the podcast because it's gone on for a while actually. So yeah, thanks for listening. See you next time.